Welcome to Unscripted, where the story behind the journey matters the most, where we don't just talk about the future, we humanize it. I'm your host, Leslie Mota. Tonight is not about headlines, it's about the moments you don't see, the decisions made in silence, the risk taken when no one's watching, and the resilience it takes to keep going when the outcome is uncertain. Because behind every builder, every founder, every voice shaping the digital world, there is a human story. A story of choosing growth over comfort, of walking away from what was expected and stepping into what felt aligned. Tonight, we step into a journey that crosses borders, industries, and mindsets. From traditional systems into something entirely new, from structure into sovereignty, from consumer to creator. This is a conversation about vision, about building in spaces that are still being defined, about what really takes to show up, lead, and create when the rules are still being written. So take a breath, lean in, and get ready because tonight we go unscripted with Jinelle de Lima.
Hi, Leslie.
Hi, welcome. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much. I was taken aback looking at that like behind the scenes footage and then also the introduction. Thank you so much. It was from like I think previous blog posts I've written.
Yes. Um, it's morning for you. So I know we said tonight. It's tonight for us over here in the States, and it's a very early in the morning. So I appreciate you waking up early and being here with us. And Janelle, your journey isn't just about what you're building today, it's about the decisions that shaped you long before any of it existed. So, when you chose a path that went against expectations early on, what did that decision teach you about trusting yourself?
Oh my God. I'm so glad we're having this conversation, honestly, because even yesterday I had like almost like a meltdown. All right. So I'm in this tough spot where it's my co-founder and I. I'm one of the co-founders of Nozomi. I'll give you a brief introduction about myself and then tell you about yesterday and then take it back to the story.
Yes.
So we founded Nozomi in October of 2024. We're like the YC for Web3. We like to call ourselves that just because, like YC, we have like a framework that founders
Mhm.
can follow. So it's we give them resources, we give them fundraising, and we have advisory. And but unlike YC, we're not as dogmatic with our practices. So we're not going to take equity just for the sake of it. We're not going to put in your check in, your first check in force you to, right? And all of our resources are open source. We do it more out of not even goodwill, I would say. It's more like integrity because we want the right founders to have the best resources in the industry because the industry is very dog eat dog world. And if you don't have that equal footing, I would say, as a founder to take your product to market, you're going to fail before you even step in the arena. So that's what we're trying to figure out for founders or figure out with founders. And so yesterday was a very I would say heartbreaking journey because so over the last 1.5 year, I've been with working with my partner side by side, and now he's decided to take a step back. By back, I mean like he's decided to focus more on behind the scenes, which means I'm doing everything in front of the scenes. So apart from like podcasts and like speaking to people in the industry, making contacts with founders in the industry, figuring out what their issues are. I'm also doing like the lead gen part of it and then client servicing. So yeah, so it was like hard for me to wrap my brain around. Okay, there used to be someone at my side all the time, and now I can't fully rely on them because they're more um, like behind the scenes, I would say. Yeah, so I was very like in a conflicted mindset, so to speak, because I was like, I knew how to do this when we were both together, but now I don't have like how how do I say this? It's more like I didn't give myself the permission. So I would always go to him. And then, like, if a plan was being drawn up, if a strategy was being drawn up, right? Or if we wanted to hire someone, for example, or work with a particular founder, we'd always make like a unanimous decision. Okay, like, these are my thoughts. He would say his side of the story, and then we'd go ahead and do it. And now it's like all new territory because I'm like, okay, this is what I think. This must be right because there is no second counter viewpoint or like counterparty anymore. I have to run with it. So yeah, that's
Oh
like
my goodness.
and so yeah. So why I make this decision? I feel like every adult or like adulting in general means taking radical self responsibility for who you are in the driving seat of your own car. There is no one coming to save you, unfortunately, which means the faster we learn that as individuals, the faster we put ourselves out of our comfort zone and like get onto that like self sovereign mindset or mind space, we're better individuals for it because at least we're in a growth phase at all points in life. It doesn't matter if you're failing because the more you fail at the end of the day, it's more stepping stones to success. You're closer to success, at least like you're closer to what you don't want to do if it's not looking like success yet. So yeah, so I took that decision to move out of like a traditional job. I was at Immutable, I was at Animoca, I was at all of these like big companies or like in Web3 at least big companies because I wanted to see, I wanted to be where the brightest minds were. And I
Mhm.
realized like on in part of being on the other side, you realize how the sausage is made. You see the industry like in a view or lens, like from a lens you haven't seen it before. And then you realize everyone is just trying their best. Like really no one has their shit figured out. You can be like the like all of these chains like these L1s, you can be like millions of billions of dollars in valuation, but you're still trying to figure it out. And so it doesn't matter if you are working for one of them, you're not going to figure it out faster, you're just going to figure it out slower. So you may as well work for yourself and like move away from that traditional mindset where you need permission to survive in like the world even. So yeah, so that's always the mindset I have, and that's how we're talking, and that's why I'm with Nozomi. So thank you so much again for bringing me on here.
Oh my goodness, Janelle, I left you hanging by yourself.
That's okay, I'm assuming network difficulties.
I live here in the mountains, and there are times where the Wi-Fi works perfect, and I've been thankful that it's been working without a cinch. And today, it's one of those days I decided not to, so I apologize for that.
That's absolutely fine. This is the universe talking to us.
You know, you are an overcomer. We're overcomers. You know, there's days that are more stressful than others. And, it's like, okay, what now, right? What can go wrong? And like you were talking about the journey, and when you have those obstacles and you keep falling, it keeps throwing stuff. It's like when you hit rock bottom, where else can you go? Just continue to grow. Now, from the point that you felt yesterday with the news, and how are you dealing with that today? Like,
Oh.
how are you feeling today? Like, what?
Honestly, I gave myself time to just feel everything that I was feeling. Usually,
Mhm.
if I wasn't, so I have this very, or I used to have this mindset where I needed like a codependent partner to unravel my feelings with. And that partner used to be whoever, like my friends are, right? At that
Mhm.
point of time, like my support system. And I realized like that was not wrong, but that was like not being self-sovereign, so to speak, because if I'm trying to unbundle with like my emotions or like my mind space with someone else, it comes
Yeah.
with that person's own blind spots and like trauma like responses also, which like I'm carrying on into like my trauma response, which was not even healthy. So it wasn't like healthy co-regulation or anything of that sort. So yesterday I was like, I'm not going to reach out to anyone, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to take the time. So I took the time. I was listening to real, like when I feel sad like this or like just like broken. I listen to like really old music. So like stuff from like when I was a teenager, and it just like heals. how would I won't say heals, but it lets me feel all of the emotions. I let it out, let everything out. And then I was like, okay, so what is the unmet need that I was expecting from my co-founder that I need to now give myself? And then I like journaled, I figured out what the needs were that I was craving or wanting, and then how I'm going to do that for myself. So that's why I'm in a better position today, because I realized what I was missing actually is not like a second counter viewpoint or anything. Like, I trust myself. What I was missing was that work buddy. I'm
Hmm.
going to miss like the social aspect of it. I'm going to miss like the emotional aspect of it. Like when there's ups and downs every day, right? And then like there's someone like with you who's seeing you, or like feeling the same things on the same journey. But now there will not be that person. So it'll be just me. And yeah, so I had to like be okay with that fact that it was going to be just me, and I need to carry myself from situation to situation.
I love that we're having this conversation because people always see the front facing. They never see the emotions and what you have to go through when you are a builder, when you are a CEO and building a company. And they never take the time to understand that, we are humans. We do feel and we do go through a lot of emotions that you have to really understand. Do you think sometimes we feel as builders, as founders, that we sometimes attach like security blankets
Mhm.
around us with us, and sometimes we latch onto that and we don't know how to navigate, or we don't understand, or we don't teach ourselves how to navigate that? At the end of the day, sometimes it is us. We are solo in building, and adding a team or adding those elements, it's a wonderful thing, but at the end of the day we have to like go on our own by ourselves.
I'm so glad you said that, use that term, security blanket, because that's literally it.
Yeah, I've been there, and it's sometimes you need that, but sometimes when you go on your own, you're like, you know what? I have to take a leap of faith on myself. I have to lose that fear and keep moving forward, because if you trust it yourself enough to build something, then you have to trust yourself enough to see it through.
Agree. I wouldn't say the fear goes away though. I mean, for me, just like you work through it in the sense like you work with it. And the metaphor I was using in my head was, I heard this saying somewhere. I'm not sure where. I think it's from a book, but it's essentially, when a bird lands on a tree or a branch of a tree, does it trust the tree, the branch of the tree, that the branch of the tree won't fall, or does it trust its wings to fly away? So that was the saying. And then I took it one step further, and I'm like, if the tree is home and if the tree is comfort, then I need to fly away, because otherwise I'm not going to experience new things or meet new people. And like, this is all I've known, and this is all I will ever know. I don't know what I don't know if I don't fly away.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's such an amazing perspective in a different way. It makes so much sense. Now, you often speak about choose your heart. What's a version of your heart you chose that completely changed the trajectory of your life?
Oh wow, okay. I've done this multiple times, but I can speak to one experience from like a personal perspective, because I feel like that personal perspective impacts every other aspect of life, and then I can speak from business perspective. So for the personal perspective, I'm Catholic. I'm from India. My husband of like now 10 years is Hindu. He isn't Catholic, and so his parents were very against the intercaste marriage, which meant they weren't okay with it. So they literally said no, and we had to elope. And with that meant like I had to shatter, like not shatter, but I had to like I had a vision of what my wedding day would look like from when I was a child. And it was me walking down the aisle, my father giving me away to the husband, and then in my white dress. And like all of that had gone. Like I had to like bundle it up like in a tidy little box and be like, this is not in the plan for you. This is not going to happen. And so it was very hard, because all we got to do was then elope. We couldn't like celebrate. And for me, like a wedding is not just like two people coming together. It's marriages to families coming together, and our families couldn't come together. So we ended up like literally going to court one day, signing the documents, having like a picture taken in the courthouse, and that was it. We had a small party with friends after, but it didn't feel like anything. It didn't feel like you're married or anything, right? Because it was such a small scale affair and so different from what I had imagined. Anyway, 10 years in, I don't think I would change that, because like who you choose, your life partner, is such an impactful decision, as in it impacts every single day of your life. Because from where you live to like what you're doing, like what opportunities you're allowed to take, so to speak, because it's always like you take it in conjunction with the other partner, with your partner. From anything that you do, like the foods that you eat or the experiences that you're going on, like anything that you do is impacted. And I feel like if you don't choose your life partner wisely, that is like the worst decision to be in, because then your whole life like crumbles in front of you. But that was like base layer. Once that's set, like if you're looking at like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, for example, like once that base layer is set, everything else just like falls into place so much easier. And yeah, so that also impacted my business life, because I have a partner who understands my need for freedom and independence, and figuring out things on my own. At least I have that safety net at all times. So at any point, if I decide this is too hard for me or this is not working out in my favor, I can always go back. Like I'm not going to be like, I don't have like someone at the back of my head saying, oh, you said you're going to do this but it hasn't worked out this way. Like what proof or like what receipts do you have to show for all of the time you wasted, perhaps, right? Because in my mind it's not time wasted. In my mind it's taking the time to get out of my comfort zone. But if it was someone else, so like many other people would not have seen it that way. So I feel very blessed to, and also like business wise, like find a partner like Louis at the time who was willing to take a bet on me, because he's run multiple businesses before. I hadn't. This was the first time that I was starting to go out and venture out on my own and see if I'm cut out for that world. And now I'm doing it alone. So like obviously he trusts me enough for me to like go do it alone. But yeah, so I feel like I'm very privileged to choose the right partners at the right time. Yeah, that was like one big decision factor.
That is so amazing that you said that. And it is so true. Sometimes, when you don't choose that right partner, it can really completely derail your path and your future. And, sometimes it's a learning journey. And what did you learn from it? And were they meant to be there for you in that journey? Now, you
Maybe.
built, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was saying I completely agree. Like it is the most important decision. Like who you choose by your side at all times are just a reflection of who you are. So yeah.
They will either help you and build you and help you excel, or, you'll go downhill.
Yeah.
You've built a strong career in traditional systems before stepping into Web3. What did you have to unlearn to fully embrace this crazy space?
Honestly, okay, so I've been from the startup world. So it wasn't that different getting into Web3. My previous experience was with, well, okay, so I did psychology as my master's, and then I moved into marketing because clearly psychology, no one cared about like mental health 10 years ago, and no one was going to pay for it, especially in India. And so everyone was like, this is it, this is the hand we're dealt with, this is how we deal with like, I don't know, alcoholism or drugs or like avoiding escapism. Like there was no healthy way to deal with it, and it was fine. Like that's how people deal, it's how people deal, it's how the herd mentality deals. So from there, from after I finished my studying, I was like, okay, what next? Like what are the transferable skills that I can bring, and like to which industry that is going to survive? So I moved on to PR and journalism first. This was with IPG Group, and I soon realized like within the first month, even, so I had like really big clients at the time because I was the intern and I was working across clients. There was Revlon, Porsche, there was PNG, so all of like Gillette, Olay, Pampers, there was HUL, which is Unilever. So all of like those FMCG brands, like you name it, and like I could work on the brand. And I'm like, okay, you guys are spend like as brand managers, you guys are spending so much money on like print and digital media and also like TV at the time. And I'm like, you realize like everything is going online, right? Like everything is moving to e-commerce, and like they didn't want to listen or have those conversations with an intern. It's like the equivalent of like Gen Z telling us what to do right now, I guess, or Gen Alpha telling us what to do. But yeah, so it was like a mindset block that most of these people had, and I was like, print is going down, journalism is dead, if not already. So I need to move on. So I need to find like brands that are willing to embrace the digital world and digital space, and that's how I moved to this really early startup. It's called Nika. It's one of the largest e-commerce startups in India. Initially, they started with beauty products only. So literally, like how the consumer journey was such. How do you sell lipstick to someone online? Because you're so used to like trying your shade of red, unless you know what your skin tone is, or you already have an existing brand, there's like a barrier to purchase because you don't know how to try it on, right, physically. So yeah, so like figuring out that whole consumer journey, and so I was one of the very early members in the team, and the team IPO'd in 2020 during COVID. They're doing really well. And so the transition to Web3 was actually because of an obstacle, I would say. It wasn't an opportunity. I made it an opportunity. My husband had to move from India to Singapore, which meant I had to give up my job also, because this was pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, no one knew what working from home was. So they didn't trust that I would be working from home, which meant when I came to Singapore, I needed to find something new. I genuinely couldn't find something in the FMCG space that was willing to accept me, because they said I had like different regional experience. And I was like, okay, fine, like I'm good, but like what else? So now I need to like think more long term, because FMCG or like consumer brands is not what I'm going to do forever. I need to figure out life beyond the next like 2 3 decades. So I was looking into AI, I was looking into machine learning, I was looking into crypto. The reason I was looking into crypto was purely because my husband is a poker player, or was a poker player. And back in India, he couldn't pay using fiat. He needed to pay using Bitcoin. So that's how he got into Bitcoin. And I was like, okay, what is this digital currency? Like, I have zero idea about it. Maybe now it's time I learn about it. So yeah, so I started with Bitcoin, as in like learning about Bitcoin in like 2018, I think it was, when we moved here to Singapore. And I was like, okay, so like I understand why this is new money, or like this is a whole new parallel system of economy. And now I understand like global politics and all of that jazz that we now get to know about, because like we're so engrossed in the system. Otherwise, you're like consuming the system, you don't even know how to get out of it. So then I like saw the matrix for what it is, so to speak, and I was like, okay, I need to get out. How am I getting out of here? And Singapore luckily has a lot of actually still has a lot of grants, and they do a lot of startup work. Like they fund a lot of startups in new technologies. So I was very lucky to join one of the SMGs that were based over here. It was cross-border trade digitization is what we were focused on. So like ships moving, like taking goods from one part of the world to another part of the world. That's literally what we were trying to digitize, like bring on a private blockchain. We were using Corda and Hyperledger Fabric at the time. And my role was literally like going to these. So how a shipment usually works is there will be a seller of goods, there will be a buyer of goods in two separate countries, there will be the seller's bank, there will be the buyer's bank, and then in between there will be like a 5 to 11-month journey of the goods itself that move from one country to multiple jurisdictions to another. And then sometimes the goods don't reach each port on time, sometimes the what are they called, the bills, as in the documents, don't reach each port on time. And so it's always like a mismatch that you're trying to like harmonize, which is why the blockchain makes sense as a use case to like digitize all of this. And all of this is privately transacted. So every party, because there's multiple parties, then have an idea of like where the documents are at all times, where the goods are at all times, and whose custody it's in at that particular time, because it keeps shifting hands throughout the journey. So I was literally trying to sell this idea to banks over here. I was in rooms with like 60-year-old men who were like, "You are a child, you have no idea what you're talking about." And I'm like, "Okay, this is the future, though. I mean, you can either like choose to get on board now or like die later on." It was quite giant for them. But yes, during COVID, we had an uptick because everyone, I guess, understood how the whole journey that would normally take like, I don't know, months and months of like dealing with buyer banks and seller banks now took like 5 days to complete, like from like first transaction to last transaction. So it was like a lot of like cost saving, a lot of time saving. And yeah, so that was my foray into the Web3 world, I would say, and I've stayed since. So from there, I mean that was like 2018. 2020 we had like the NFT boom. 21, early 21, I got into that because I was like, there's not enough women in this space, and I'm tired of this broy culture. So I may as well like try to onboard women now, because NFTs were one way to do so, because it was more fun, it was more culture. So I started my own brand, and I got two of my girlfriends. So there was one who is an artist. I got her to draw like digitally, and then the other person is a developer. So she had to learn Solidity just to deploy our smart contract. And then I was like the brand face and like talking about the NFT collection and why, because what we were doing was literally trying to onboard women into the Web3 space with the collection, and then with the donate, as in with all of the money that we made or minted, we were going to donate it to onboard Wonder Foundation. Wonder Foundation is this NGO based in the UK. They help girls like all over the world with individual things that they would need. So for some, like in Africa, for example, it's education and water, clean water. In India, it's not working in silica mines, because silica is the shiny material like all of us girls use in highlighters and stuff like that, like makeup. But it's really like dangerous, because then these young children, mostly girls, because they have nimble hands, have to go into the mines, and then the mines can fall on them. So yeah, so like get them out of that so that they can go study and not have to do like child labor. So yeah, so the first donation with them was 40K in Eid. So we had to get the giving block on board as well, and then we made the first transaction to Wonder Foundation. From that year, so this was 2021 until 23, they made more, or they got more donations through crypto than fiat. So that was like a really nice journey to bring them along on board as well, apart from like general women in the space who had the NFT. Because at the time there was, I don't remember, I mean, I don't know if you were around, but there was Women and Weapons, Sarah
Yes,
Bowman. There
I
was
remember.
Yam, yeah, there was Yam from World of Women. There
Yes.
was Mahila. I forgot, Woman Rise was her project. So like all of us were always like on spaces together and stuff like that. And we were trying to, I don't know, onboard as many women as we could. And I think that helped, because there's some women who still rock like Women and Weapon PFPs, or even like World of Women PFPs, like from that
Mhm.
era. So yeah, so that has been my journey so far. From there, I moved on to Immutable, Animoca, and now Nozomi.
Wow, that your humanitarian work, that is so inspiring, especially us that have children, and thinking even that your kid is out there working child labor, and it's like you can't really do anything to protect them. It's like that's difficult. So kudos to you for doing that. What was the defining moment where you realized that you didn't just want to participate in the system, that you actually wanted to help build it or
Mm,
rebuild it?
I think there wasn't one such defining moment. It's a flurry of defining moments. What happens in this industry way too often is everyone plays it like a zero sum game, and everyone's here for like the short wins. And so they will do something at the expense of someone else and take the win, right? And then they're gone the next cycle. And I'm so like, I was like, and it kept happening from like cycle to cycle, like every bull market. Or we have like some influencers who are topping the charts, and then they do whatever they can, they dump on the community that they build, and then they're gone, And I'm like, why? Like someone has to change this, and like I can't be the only person who's thinking about it. I'm obviously not the only person who's thinking about it.
Mhm.
But if I do something towards changing it, at least if I help the right founders, for instance, I will find other people who are on the same journey, or like want to help the journey, so to speak, and I will find my people. But if I don't put myself out there and don't start, I'm never going to find my people. So yeah, so that's the basis.
So how did you get outside of this bubble that we are in, Web3, crypto, this ecosystem? When we first started, I started probably 2020, late 2021, early
Mhm.
2022. And there was a division at that point between Web3 and crypto space. And it seems like now it's merged. There's an ecosystem. So it continues. And I think it's gone a lot worse. The rugging, people using people for advantage, the freebies, etc. And sometimes you do get stuck in that bubble. How did you get out, or how do you intentionally stay out when this is our industry and we're so consumed with it?
Oh my god. I guess for me, what drives me more than profit is purpose. So I always try to keep like purpose front and center. And then if I act with integrity, and if I have enough integrity, and if I'm making real change in the world, the profit will be a sub component, and profit will come as like a byproduct. But I don't want to be chasing profit. So I'm always in that mind space. And like even with the NFT collection, like we donated everything because it was a learning journey for us. We literally got into NFTs because of that, right? Like we spoke to Gary Vee, for example. Like that would have never happened if I like continued like at the previous company. So I tried to give back because I see this whole technology, like now with AI even, right? It's very equity based, in the sense like merit based. You can do what you want with it as long as you have the will to wield it, like in the sense like if you're wielding it for something that's not going to be great for you or for humanity in the larger scheme of things, that's on you, and you'll figure it out soon enough. Like this life, next life, whatever, I don't even know. Like karma will or should bite you in the ass. But
Yeah.
if you wield it for the greater good, like figure out how to use it such that more people get to where you are, like in your way of thinking and your understanding, so that like you're broadening the pie, then I feel like we're in a better space than we left it when we found it. So yeah, so that's always my goal. My goal is always to like think in such a way where people are benefiting. At in the short term it might be a loss to me, but
Mhm.
at least I'm moving with integrity, and that means I will not be poor because people will see the value I have or the value I give.
I love that. Well said. Now, let me ask you this before we head into what you're building. You moving across countries, industries, mindsets, being in this space, what grounded you when everything around you is shifting so fast, or what keeps you grounded?
That's a very good question. I have to like pinch myself and like make myself get grounded. But the one practice I do that's really helped is journaling. So I've always like not like a diary, but I've always like maintained, I don't know, maybe now they're calling it metacognition. I don't know the right term for it, but essentially it's understanding what you're feeling, understanding where your thoughts are different from what you are feeling, and trying and jotting all of that down, and then coming to a conclusion for yourself, like introspection, where you understand yourself better. So you're putting a mirror up to yourself to understand you better, and then trying to see or uncover your blind spots. So I feel like journaling has always helped me uncover my blind spots, and that's when I can say, okay, I've been so clouded with emotion, for example, that I
Mhm.
couldn't look at it in this perspective, but now I can because I'm looking at it from like a third person view.
Oh, that's very eye-opening. And I think that's amazing. Sometimes you journal, you put stuff, and you don't realize what you're going through until you go back and read it or reread it that same day.
Exactly. Yeah. It gives you fresh perspective, like a third person perspective, which I feel like is valued because you need to remove yourself from the situations most times because you have all of the knowledge to figure it out for yourself. You just like caught up in the emotions at the time, and you don't give yourself enough time or space to actually let your prefrontal cortex run when it shouldn't. No, actually run, yeah, your prefrontal cortex run and make decisions when you're giving your limbic system, yeah, more motion.
So tell me, okay, let's talk about what you're building because you're building and you say it Nozomi network.
Hmm.
So you're building it as an open source accelerator. And correct me if I'm wrong. So what gap did you see in this space that made you say, you know what, this needs to exist here?
Wow, okay. So yes, it is called Nozomi Network. Nozomi means hope, and that's why we chose the name for it. And so it is a Japanese name. And then, like, if people who are listening, or perhaps even you have traveled to Japan, you see it on the name of the Shinkansen, which is the bullet train. So initially, I don't remember, like the first version of the trains, the fastest trains in Japan, they were faster than sound. I think it was sound. No, faster than light. Faster than light. That was the first version. The second version was faster than sound. And then they got to a point where, okay, now we have like the Shinkansen, which is the fastest. But like, what do we call it? Because what travels faster than sound and light? Like, there's nothing that travels faster than light. And so they called it hope because hope spreads faster than light and sound. So that's why the train is called Nozomi, and that's how we are called Nozomi, because what we want to do is, well, technically, we're not an accelerator in the traditional sense. So we don't have like cohorts that are running.
Okay.
What we do have is resources. So the resources are open source and they are free for founders to use. They're different modules. So depending on where you are in your journey, you can just take the resources and do it for yourself. So it's literally from how do you set up the company to fundraising, like what are the types of fundraising available to you, how do you approach, because this is one of the most important areas that founders need help in right now, this bear market specifically. It's harder to get funds or raise funds, early capital. So yeah, so how do you fundraise properly, so that you close your round essentially, and then from there, once you have like, how do you define your MVP, how do you know it's ready to scale, do you have the not pipelines, do you have the funnels intact, or are they leaky buckets, because then you shouldn't scale. So how do you know that? And then what should your scaling plan be? So should it be like, what is your go to market strategy, and then from go to market strategy, how are you actually retaining your users or customers? Because we see like in web3 we're very good with attention and hype, but then we don't know like after the campaign ends, like if those people converted at all to actual users. So like how do you retain them? And then moving on to the TGE. At some point, most projects will want to TGE. You should TGE for the right reason and not to like get liquidity. At the end of the day, liquidity is a byproduct. It shouldn't be the only reason. So yeah. So and the way we've structured the website is, so there's the launch OS, which is we will incubate you from. Sorry, one sec. My husband called. Uh, is this working? Yeah, okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay.
It's okay.
In my okay, yeah. So launch OS is literally we will incubate you. So the first version is do it yourself. You have all of the time in the world. Take the resources and figure like build the company for yourself. The other side of this is we will do everything for you, which is launch OS. So we will incubate you if you are working in the verticals that we want to. And then the middle version is we will work with you. So that's where advisory comes into play. So like the VC intros, positioning, GTM advisory, all of this is advisory focused. We will do it with you on your behalf, but we will do it as a performance indicator. So we're not going to charge a retainer. We're going to come up with goals before we start working together. And as soon as we've hit the goals, and when we've hit the goals and you are satisfied with the results, is that's when you pay us, not when like we're working with you, so to speak. Because this industry, I feel, is very like promises the moon but gives you nothing in return. So we
Mm.
want to change that.
That is so true. And when you come across a lot of companies and builders in this space that they do promise you the moon, and at the end of the day, you're left with nothing. Now, can any founder or startup apply for this, or are you guys very specific with the ones that you want to work with, or the ones
So
that?
from a founder's perspective, we help with the whole life cycle. So wherever you are as a founder, you can choose where you want to start. So if you are very early, we have the resources. Like if you're pre-plan, if you're like pre-MVP, you have the
Mhm.
resources, figure it out for yourself, because that time you'll have all the time in the world, but you won't have the money, right, to pay
Mhm.
on anyone. So then figure it out, like at least figure out your base plan and your MVP stage. From then, when you do raise either a seed round, or if mostly seed or like pre-seed, even like if you have some money, then, or if you are on that fundraising journey, we can help you get introductions to VCs, because we have a large network. We work with most of the ecosystems also, and the accelerator programs in each ecosystem, which means we know like what ecosystem grants and stuff are available. So we know like where to place you. And then once you've done that, if you need help with the scaling, so then like your go-to-market strategy, your marketing strategy, so that you're not spending like millions. Because what people end up doing, or what projects end up doing, or founders end up doing is, oh, I want to give an airdrop to my community. But that is a tactic. You never start with a tactic. You always start like with why you have a particular IC, or like a particular persona in your ecosystem. How is that persona going to move from the they don't know about you to they love you? Like, what does that journey look like, right? And how do you craft it in such a way that you're not leaking all of them, so that they stay until the end? And not until the end doesn't mean like their liquidity for TGE. Until the end is they're actually using the product at some point, right? And
Yeah.
staying beyond TGE. So yeah, so how do you define those growth funnels, and then how do you make people sticky in your ecosystem? And then TGE itself. So like, what do you need at TGE is literally which market maker should I speak to? What type of models do I need to look into? Like, do I need to look into predatory terms, which I have no idea about, because until I'm in those rooms, I don't know what is expected of me. Which centralized exchanges do I launch on? How much liquidity do I need for each centralized exchange? How much money will I need in general, from like a runway perspective, to keep this afloat post TGE? Because there will be the market maker liquidity standards that you will have to be aware of also. But all of these conversations, most founders are not aware of, because it's a very like dark box, or black box. Like, once you're in the room, you know, but if you're a founder pre TGE, you'd never know. And so we're trying to shed more light on like these areas where founders need more help with, but don't always have access to. So yeah, depending on your founder journey, wherever you are, you can catch us. Depending on what you need, we're not going to sell you things, obviously. If there is something that we can provide you for free, we will do it. If there is something that we need to do, then we will charge you. For example, like coming up with a strategy, we never do execution, so we will put you on to mm, partners we trust, like marketing agencies, perhaps, to execute, or you can internally execute. But we would not do that, because we know this is, if you follow the strategy that we've identified for you and given you the blueprint for fully, then we know that you will get the results, and we're always there, like in your corner, right? Because we've literally created it for you.
I love that. So you're helping founders get TGE with the right resources, capital, and strategy. What separates the ones who make it from the ones that don't?
Oh, that's very easy. One is personal. So the founder itself, like, because every project is an indication of who the founder is, or who the team members are. So if the team is going to do everything in their part to solve that particular issue, because they have like some personal reason to solve it, then that team is going to make it, because no matter what life throws at them, they have like their sole target acquired is figure that solution out. Like, how are they going to get it to market? So the team is the most important. And two is people or founders who are not not naive, I would say, not arrogant. So because you don't know what you don't know, like all of us don't know what we don't know, and there are people willing to guide you. But then if you take that as, I know everything already, there is nothing more that someone else can provide me, then you're not going to make it very far, because everyone's out to get you in the end in this industry. And there's not many people who are speaking with no incentives in hand. So, yeah, so I feel like if founders are with that mindset where we're just going to TGE, and we're going to use this as a liquidity event for ourselves, to get ourselves rich, to get our cap table rich. Yeah, those are the kind of founders who you'll see like 1 year later have disappeared.
I always say you have to be student of the game. And if you're in the room and you feel like you're the smartest person, you're in the wrong room, because we never stop learning in life. Life
Exactly.
is a learning journey. And I think I've come across a lot of founders like that, builders, where it's like there's no room for feedback, improvement. And I'm like, I don't know how you're surviving. But so let me ask you this: in a space that can be very hype driven, how do you keep Nasomi grounded in real value and long term impact?
That's very easy actually, because we don't care about hype. We don't care about like cycles. We don't care about like attention on us. We never want attention on us, because we're always like, even my co-founder, both of us, we're very like, we want to be the people in the room. So like when when there's a president talking, there is
Yeah.
the president, and then there is someone who is in the room before the president sets on stage, like is set on stage, and then he knows the talking points because he's consulted with this the people in that room. We want to be those people. We never want to be like the president itself. So whenever going to like, we don't, I don't know. This is to our great disadvantage, I would say. We don't do founder branding. We don't do too many like public appearances. We're not focused on like marketing ourselves. We're only focused on like results at the end of the day. And if we're not getting, because results or like case studies or use cases, all of that has more value, then we don't need to sell ourselves. So when it comes to like, we don't need attention at the end of the day then, because like, why would you need attention? You need attention because it's top of funnel, because then you need to convert those people and then convert them to buy something from you, right? But then we've already sold you on giving you free value altogether, and then if you need more value, come back to us. We don't want to sell you anything, so we don't need attention. Yeah.
I love that. Now, there might be a lot of other, I want to say, incubators, accelerators, or whatnot in Web3 or similar to what you're building. What would you say that makes Nozomi fundamentally different in how it supports funders than others?
I would say we're not a traditional accelerator program, right? Because we don't have like cohorts running, and also our values are very different. So, like, the only long term mission for Nozomi is to move humanity from consumers to creators. So, what we care about is you as a person are taken out of the matrix, and you're doing your own path. You understand like why the matrix exists and how to get out of that. So that's what we're trying to do. So we're trying to fund and find founders who have the same mindset, who are building in that space. So like decentralized everything then becomes very important. That's why Web3 in the first place. And now AI accelerates all of the building process. So we can't have like centralized chokeholds, like all of these like 5 billionaires who are running the world in AI right now. Jensen, like Nvidia, Musk, Sam, who else? The brother sister duo, Anthropic people, and Gemini. So yeah, so we can't have like just these five conglomerates running the world, which is why we need more builders to think like the way we think, which is like
Yeah.
stop consuming and start creating your own things, because only then you're going to escape it. So that's our ultimate motto. So that's why we don't like see ourselves as competition to any of the accelerator programs even, or like to marketing agencies or to anyone in general, because at the end of the day, if a founder is working or in any capacity with an accelerator program, with a marketing agency, with anyone who is helping them on that journey, we're here to support them. We're here to like, I don't know, grow the pie. We really don't care about competition. Like all of our resources are open source. Like we have nothing to hide. Like if we're willing to give things for free, like there is zero competition. Like we're very happy to work with any and every accelerator. In fact, like even like with ecosystems, like with Aptos last year, we were in Japan. We worked on the curriculum for the accelerator for that particular cohort. So we keep doing these things with ecosystems as well. So we're not like in competition with anyone.
I love that. What's a hard truth about launching in Web3 that most people aren't ready to hear?
you don't launch in Web3 in the sense there are no users in Web3. So there is like your launch pad would essentially be crypto Twitter as a channel, and then you're using tweets or you use like one particular video as your launch plan, and that's why you
Mhm.
have zero users because these are not users. Like the people on crypto Twitter are also building, most likely are building, and they're like trying to like make a name for themselves, like creating content or like using a particular product, being part of a particular
Mhm.
community, whatever it is. They're not actual users. You're not going to find your user base over here. You need to go to like traditional channels or traditional markets like you would in Web 2, which is why like your basics never change. Like Web 2 marketing has, you have another layer on right now with Web3, but the fundamentals never change. Like you need to go back to like where your users are depending on your product. So if your product is, I don't know, a deepen charging, like you're building charging stations for deepen, then you need to go find like Tesla owners, for example, because they are the ones who have the charging stations already, and then you need to convert them. So you're not going to find them on crypto Twitter.
Have you ever had to say no to a project that looked great on the surface but didn't align with
Oh yeah,
you?
so many times because the only projects that we work with are people who think like us.
Mhm.
So the filter is like 99.9% of the projects who reach out to us, like for incubation specifically, we cannot work with or we don't want to work with because they're not aligned with the way we think. And the way we think is simple. You are providing more value than you are taking from, which means the threshold to do that and like the bar is very high. There's very few people who end up doing that. And then the next question I get asked is, okay, how do you make money? Because how are you surviving? If it because it sounds very charitable, right? But
Yeah.
we only win when the project actually wins. So we make like informed decisions and bets into projects we know will 1000% survive because we've orchestrated it to survive in the first place. So we're going to make it like going to make the project make it at any cost because like our reputation, which is more worth more than money in this world, is at stake. So yeah.
And then reputation, word of mouth, especially like you stated earlier, it's like, the marketing, et cetera. And it's if you're working with these founders and they succeed, they're going to recommend your services to the next founder, et cetera. And sometimes that brings a lot more value. Now, Nozomi has helped projects raise significant capital, but beyond the funding, what does success actually look like for you?
Mm, for us, our mission statement at Nozomi is moving the world from consumers to creators, but more literally, that means in the next like decade, we want to have helped at least 10 million people use the products that we put out into the world. And we don't mean just like us working on like particular incubations, but like the projects that we've helped, they've moved at least like 10 million people from consumers to creators. So that's our KPI, I would say.
I love that. Now, for anybody watching, here's the site, nasomi.network. And this is where they can go and apply for your services. And they can find all the information that they need to on Nasomi Network, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
So people tune in. If you're not looking in and you're a founder, then what are you doing with your life? Now, I want to talk to you a little bit more about the human side of building. And, what's a moment in your journey that where things didn't go as planned, and how did you navigate that
Mm,
and decided to, at this point, I need to pivot. I need to go a different route than I was expecting.
okay. Very, very realistic. This happened literally like last month, so to speak. So last year, because okay, so we do fundraising, right? And the one way
Mhm.
that we do fundraising is we've partnered with Legion. Legion is this merit-based platform where people or community retail participants can get into the ICO before it goes TGE, before a project does their TGE. And we partnered with Legion because they're merit based, so they align with the values that we have. So last year, every Tom, Dick, and Harry project wanted an ICO raise, right? Because it was a marketing stunt at the end of the day, which is why we helped projects raise like 87 or 89 million, I'm not sure. So it was very easy to receive right? Like we didn't have to market ourselves or anything. This year, the market's very different. So the core USP that we had last year, which was fundraising, has taken a backseat, or at least how has taken a backseat, because people are still fundraising. They're just not fundraising from retail right now. They're fundraising from VCs or bootstrapping, right? So we've had to like completely pivot our way of thinking and like the offers and our positioning even from, because initially like at the start of this year we were still selling GTM strategy, go to market strategy, but then we're seeing like not too many people, not too many projects are TGEing this year, so they don't need that type of handholding and they don't need the strategic advice that we could have given. Our time is better spent where they are. So after talking to a lot of like founders and in the market, just being in the market like this year Q1, I would say, we've pivoted to just fundraising, or like mainly or mostly fundraising. So our funnel looks like this. We have the free course on fundraising that we're working with VCs. So the VCs are also given their input now. That will be launched soon by the end of this month, perhaps. That's how, and that's free. So that's how we collect the funders, the founders. From there, some of them will need to fundraise because most are fundraising. Then we will help you with redoing your pitch deck, because that's the worst, I would say, version of yourself to go with, to present with to investors. So the most improvements and the most feedback, and because we've been on the other side, right, we've seen like 100 plus pitch decks last year itself, or even like this quarter, because we keep getting inbound. It's very easy for us to know what a very good pitch deck looks like and how to get funding. And once we do the pitch deck for you, then we can introduce you to our network, because if you come cold and you're asking for an intro to the network, then you're most likely not going to get anything. And that does a disservice to the investors also, because they're looking at rubbish decks at the end of the day. So we come in, then we will redo your pitch deck for you. We will send it across to the network. Most likely you get funded. And then you stay on the journey, right? Because then you can actually like build your product. But unless you get that first raise or first round filled, you're not going to have much success building your product at all. Which is why we're focused and very concentrating our efforts on fundraising itself. So like very small sector of a broad skill set.
There's always a cost to building something meaningful. What have you had to sacrifice to stay aligned with your vision?
Oh, my sleep. Oh my God.
Oh, I felt that.
I do calls until like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. because like the US time zone, and I'm in Singapore. So Singapore is very like Asia, which means I'm like ahead of like the US by like 12 hours, 15 hours on the West Coast.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I do like because all of the podcasts, all of the spaces, like all of the actual congregational meetups, like your community meetups and stuff, all of that happen like in their time, most likely not happening in my time. Yeah, so I'm like staying up late, like getting on calls really early. But yeah, so I think my sleep, because that is the one thing I love like a lot. But yeah, having to sacrifice that, I feel like is worth it.
Yeah, it's like, and then you start getting, the dark circles, the bags under your eyes. But if you love what you do, it doesn't even feel like you're sacrificing that much, even though you are, right?
Exactly. I mean, I would still say it feels like a sacrifice because there's things like trade-offs, right? There's a trade-off for every decision that you make. So it's
Yes.
never like I am going to be happy with every decision.
Yeah.
But I'll be not happy in the short term because it'll be happy. I'll be happy in the long term.
I love that. Yes, absolutely. I have to get sleep sometimes because I know when I hit that peak of exhaustion, I don't make correct decisions. I make decisions based on exhaustion. And sometimes I'm like, I've had to learn to be like, if I'm feeling tired, if I'm feeling a certain way, I will not do it because I will get wrecked with the bad decisions.
Yeah.
What part of your story do people not see? The part that shaped you the most throughout this journey?
Can you give me 1 second actually? Because I have another call. I just need to inform them that I'll
Yes.
be
And then
late.
if you have another call, we can wrap it up because we're at the top.
Just 1 second. Let me just. Okay, sorry about that. Yes.
No, it's okay. If you want, we can wrap it up and then that way you can attend the next call. We are at top of the hour. Do you want to leave the viewers, anybody watching, with any last words of wisdom, any advice?
Yes. I mean, always go towards what feels right for you. It may not feel right for anyone else, and you will not be able, most likely, not be able to explain why it feels right, even, but just trust your gut. That's what's going to make you happy with the decisions that you take in the end.
Amen to that. And for everybody watching, thank you for tuning in. Please go follow Jinelle de Lima. She is on X. This is where we connected. And if her profile is on the scroll, so it's crypto with a K, KRPTO, Jin, follow her journey. What you're building is amazing. And I can't wait to learn a little bit more, write about it, and then put it out there. And I hope that we do connect in the future. And I'll hit you up when I ever travel to Singapore for Token 2049.
For sure, for sure.
Janelle, again,
Thank you
thank you
so
so much.
much. Oh,
You
I
have
was saying,
a great day.
sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I was saying thank you so much for the opportunity and for this wonderful conversation. Honestly, I was having a bad day yesterday, and I'm so glad like I've had this conversation with you because at least now I can like filter my viewpoint and like make better decisions. So thank you.
No, thank you for sharing that with us and opening up with that, and being the human behind what you're building and humanizing the space a little bit more. So I appreciate you coming on, and we'll connect soon again, Janelle.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
You
See you.
too. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.